Arithmetic and fear. I sat staring at the polished holster with its button flap, the braid cord looped into the revolver butt. Any other root crops? Mangolds? Marrow stems? Anything like that? No. But was there not a line of turnips where the seed ran out in the potato field? I assumed small gills and sat imagining the black hole in the barracks. He stood up, shifted the baton case. An analogy has been drawn between arithmetic and fear. It is quite natural for little children to associate fear with calculations. This analogy is very apt as it brings out the fear in the heart of little Heaney and his apprehensions that if the calculations go wrong, then they will have to face punishment. There is no doubt a tense atmosphere is there in the room now. I means Heaney the child. When he says that I sat staring at the polished holster, it is Seamus Heaney the child. And this also tells us that this poem is a memory poem. Heaney is relating his own childhood experiences. He goes on to say that he sat there staring at the polished holster with its button flap and the braid cord looped into the revolver butt. In these lines, the combination of heavy consonants produces a feeling of fear and apprehension. The word staring shows the child as awed and afraid. The polished holster is an epithet used by the poet to suggest that as the bicycle without mud tells about the power of the owner, so the polished holster conveys the same feeling. Button flap, braid cord also convey the image of this dangerous weapon in the possession of the constable. These images instill a sense of fear and terror in the mind of the little Heaney, and in fact on a deeper level tell us the atrocities committed by RUC. In the following lines, the poem picks up a conversational tone. In fact, the rhetorical questions made by the constable, they become a kind of interrogation. He has come to get the record of their yields through different crops and vegetables. Heaney, the poet, instead of using the common words beetroots and peas, uses the words mangolds and marrow stems to create poetic effect of alliteration and assonance both. The curt questions of the constable heighten the atmosphere of tension. The response to these questions by Seamus Heaney's father is a monosyllabic word, no. And this word shows the resentment at this interrogation which is conducted by the constable. This hostile attitude of Seamus Heaney's father, who is the farmer, was earlier hinted in the third stanza, and now it reaches a climax by this brief reply from Seamus Heaney's father. But this word is very significant because it comes soon after the reply no, and it indicates that there was something which was being kept away from the constable. The preceding lines tell us the thoughts that are going in the mind of the little boy, and he is thinking about the line of turnips which has been probably hidden from the constable. He is afraid that they have not provided the accurate details. Reference to the farm returns also reveals about Heaney's personal life, which was associated to country and farming. Then Seamus Heaney, he uses the words, I assumed small guilds. Now this again shows the presence of the little child in the background. That is, Seamus Heaney is revealing to us this incident from hindsight. As a child, what he experienced and what he went through. So, assumed here means that he felt small guilts of hiding about the earnings from potatoes, and he fears that this is going to lead them into trouble. He imagines black holes in the barracks. And again, the usage of this consonant sound black B and the repetition of it, and then the use of black color, it has got sinister implications. Black holes remind us of the black handle grips of the bicycle, and the imagination of the boy here is complete. He visualizes his father handcuffed, being driven to the black holes in the barracks. The ugliness of the situation is heightened by the images that are being created in this stanza. And on a more political level, the black hole anticipates, with hindsight, the detention centers which would be set up by the RUC and the British Army during the troubles in Ireland, and Heaney metaphorically compares the two. The phrase small guilds and black holes betray the presence of the adult Heaney too as a poet. After taking the returns of the crops from the Heeneys, now the constable stands up and he shifts the baton case. Baton case here is again very significant because it is a frightening symbol of authority and official power of the constable. He stood up, shifted the battle case further round on his belt, closed the doomsday book, fitted his cap back with two hands, and looked at me as he said goodbye. A shadow bobbed in the window. He was snapping the carrier spring over the ledger. His boot pushed off and the bicycle ticked, ticked, ticked. Now the constable, he closes the doomsday book. The ledger is being compared to the doomsday book metaphorically. Historically, it has got other connotations. It was a nickname Irish people gave to a hated survey of lands by an English king. Moreover, its comparison to Doomsday Book, the book in which all the bad and good deeds will be recorded and people will be treated accordingly on the doomsday, has a connotative significance. The register being closed by the constable has got the records of the lands and their yields, and people will be taxed accordingly. Henceforth, the hatred for this register is justified. The constable then fits his cap with his hands and is ready to depart. His look is intimidating the boy and trying to find whether they are holding back any secret. The little boy, being vulnerable, frightened by the eyes of the constable, might give out the secret of the line of turnips. Then when the constable, he now leaves and he's out of the room beside the bicycle, from the window the Heeneys, they see the shadow of the constable. The shadow of the constable bobs in the window as he leaves the farmhouse. Shadow here means the shadow of fear that he cast over the entire household of Mossbaum. The verb bobbed on literal level means to move up and down. A slight humorous tone can be detected here. Another interpretation of the word echoes Bobby, ironically a friendly British colloquialism for a policeman. So, due to a word play, that is a pun, Heaney is getting revenge by mocking the policeman in the poem. Snapping of the carrier of the bicycle over the ledger is an important image. On literal level, snap means to break. So the departure of the constable is announced with the sound of snapping and the atmosphere of tension is broken. Pushing off of the boot related to the boot of law earlier mentioned completes the image of the constable. His boot pushed off has both literal and metaphorical relevance. On the literal level, the constable's boots on the pedals announce his departure, and metaphorically, the boot, which is actually authority and power, pushes off the atmosphere of tension. With the use of an onomatopic effect that is tick, 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 the sound of the ticking of the bell finally announces the departure of the constable. Moreover, the ticking of the bell is also like the ticking of the clock. Probably here, Heaney is referring to the clock used in the time bombs and with the benefit again of hindsight as a poet, he is alluding to the political situation in Northern Ireland in his childhood days. The situation was like a time bomb ready to explode, metaphorically blowing up in the faces of the repressive Protestant government. Hence, A Constable Calls, to sum up, is a memory poem as it is narrated in the past tense. However, the detailed descriptions bring the past vividly to life, the fears, terrors, apprehensions of the little child. They are an evidence of how indelibly this incident from his childhood has been imprinted on the poet's mind, like the bevel marks of his cap on the constable's hair. The poet presents before us an event from his past deeply engulfed in the atmosphere of fear. He takes us down on a journey to those deep recesses of mind where these fears are present, and more so when one is young. So again, this poem is also a memory poem like Tomb Road and Personal Helicon. This poem is also based on the childhood experiences of Seamus Heaney.